So let's start by talking about taking your pictures. When you're taking your pictures, there's 3 important things that you want to remember. 1, good lighting. 2, you want to make sure that there's not a lot of clutter in your background. And 3, you want to be consistent about where you're taking your pictures and the positions in which you're standing. I want to give you guys a few examples of some not so great places to be positioning yourself as far as lighting and as far as clutter behind you goes. So take a look at these examples of not so great progress pictures. In the first picture here, you can tell that there's bad lighting and poor placement. And in the second picture, the lighting is better, but the placement is still horrible. In the first picture here, it's been taken at an upward angle, which doesn't show the true shape of my body, as opposed to the second picture, which is a perfect progress picture. The way that I usually take my pictures is that I take a long video and then I screenshot myself in each pose. I usually stand in about 10 different poses, and these are the ones that I usually use. And I use them each time, and I'm very consistent about that because I want to be able to compare from month to month. And if I want to go back to a year ago to today, I know I'm going to have the same poses. So every month when I'm taking my pictures, this is the exact video that I record, and then I take my screenshots. Take a look. Now let's talk about taking your measurements. So this is another place where you want to be super consistent with exactly where you're measuring on your body, and as far as which measuring tape you're using and things like that. What clothes you're wearing, if you're wearing looser shorts or if you're wearing thicker shorts, your hip measurement may be different. For example, if these were a little too tight on me, then maybe this measurement would be a little different because I got a little muffin top going on. So try to be consistent about what clothes you're wearing, if any, when you're taking your measurements, as far as where you're on your body you're measuring and the tape that you're using. So I use this tape every single time. The way that I like to start is I go around the smallest part of my waist. So I measure here. You don't want to pull too tight, you don't want to be too loose, but just relaxed right on the skin in the smallest part. So right now, I'm at 27.25. All right, and then I go right underneath my belly button, okay, because that's where I know that I have that little pouch of bloat, okay? So I go my largest spot and I go my smallest spot. So I call this my belly, and then the other I call my waist. So this is my largest spot, and it's at 31, okay? And you guys can see, like, it's snug right up against my skin, but I'm not leaving it super loose, and I'm not like pinching my skin in like that, okay? So those are the two that I do on my stomach. When I'm doing my arms, I do it flexed. You can do it flexed, you can do it relaxed down, but it just needs to be consistent. And the way that I do my arms, I always take my own measurements. So I lay my tape over my arm like this, okay? And then I flex and I pull it up to me, and I'm at 10.5 there, okay? And then I do the same thing on the other side. Let me get you guys pointed down a little bit to my legs. With my hips, and this is not a good example because I don't usually wear these shorts when I'm taking my measurements. I'm usually either naked or in a bathing suit bottom. But for my hips, I go underneath my butt. And when I stand on the floor, you know there's like lines in the tiles? I put 1 foot on each line. And so I make sure that my feet are spread the same distance each time because they're always in that same spot. And like I said, I go right underneath my butt with my legs on either line, just like this. And I'm at about 35 right now. If I were to go over my butt, I'm at 36, okay? So like that makes a big difference where you're at. So just remember where you're at. The other thing, with your legs, it's a little bit harder. Let me back you guys up. So with your legs, it's a little bit harder, but a really easy trick to remember is if you can feel your hip bone, measure from your hip bone down to your kneecap. So for me, that's about 16 inches, and you want to cut that in half, so 8 inches, and that just happens to fall right at the bottom of my shorts today. And so I go right around the bottom of my shorts, always remembering to not go too tight, not go too loose, and I'm about 21. For me, I'm really lucky. I have matching freckles. I don't know if you guys can see them, like right there on my legs. So I honestly just measure around my matching freckles. But for those of you who don't have the freckles, doing that measurement and then cutting it in half and measuring right there at that line. And again, 21. Okay guys, so that's gonna help you stay really consistent with your measurements. And for your chest measurements, again, very important to wear, as a female, wear the same sports bra every time you're taking your measurements. And I usually just go, again, usually around like the largest area, and that's 32 and a half. Okay guys, so again, not too tight, not too loose. And I usually just, you wanna try to cover it, you wanna try to get the end right underneath, but I just let that smallest piece show over so that I can line it up with the line, or show under so that I can line it up with whatever line. All right, so that's my tutorial for measurements. Let's talk about weighing ourselves. All right, same thing guys, you wanna be wearing the same clothes, if any, when you're weighing yourself. You wanna weigh yourself same time of day. So usually I weigh myself in the morning before I drink anything, before I eat anything, because I feel like that's when it's the most accurate. Not because, oh, I'm gonna be the lightest in the morning, but you've slept off everything you ate and drank in the previous day, whereas at the end of one day, you may have eaten more heavy sitting things, you may have used the bathroom less, you may have drank more, so it's very inconsistent to measure yourself or weigh yourself at night versus in the morning. So always same time of day, always wearing the same clothes, if any, and just keeping your scale in a very flat spot. So making sure that the floor underneath your scale is very flat and level. I just want you to remember that these 3 ways of measuring your progress are not the 3 ways that are going to define your journey. The things that matter the most are the way that you feel, the amount of energy that you have, your happiness level, your stress level, how you're sleeping, what you're eating, how you're fueling your body, how your clothes are fitting, how you feel when you look in the mirror, the amount of confidence that you have in what you're doing for yourself and what you're achieving every single day, as far as those 10 burpees that used to be 3 burpees, or that 5-pound weight that turned into a 15-pound weight. You guys are making progress every single day, whether you see it in your measurements on the scale or in your pictures. There is some sort of progress happening every single day that you step up to the plate and do the things that you know are going to keep you healthy. So even though I'm asking for all of these things once a month, just remember they are not the 3 things that determine your success on your journey. And your journey may not measure up to anybody else's in this group, but that's okay, because it is your journey and your journey only.